Did you know there's a silent condition killing more seniors than heart disease, yet doctors almost never diagnose it? This hidden threat can reduce your lifespan by up to 8 years, even if you're physically healthy. What's truly frightening is that it might be affecting you or someone you love right now without anyone noticing the symptoms. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 5 critical warning signs of isolation depression that everyone misses, and the simple steps you can take today to protect yourself or someone you care about before it's too late. Let me tell you about Beatrice, a 73-year-old widow who seemed perfectly fine on the outside. She had regular checkups, took her medications, and her doctor always gave her a clean bill of health. But after her husband Edward passed away, something changed. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Beatrice began to decline. She lost weight, stopped attending her weekly bridge club, and barely left the house. Her daughter visited every Sunday and noticed her mother growing quieter, more withdrawn, but assumed it was just normal grief. Beatrice's doctor never identified the real cause of her deterioration: isolation depression that was silently destroying her will to live. By the time her daughter realized what was happening, Beatrice had already lost dangerous amounts of weight and had stopped taking her heart medication. She was slipping away, not from any diagnosed disease, but from a condition her doctor never even thought to check for. The truth is, isolation depression is killing our seniors at an alarming rate, and most medical professionals aren't trained to recognize its subtle signs. But after watching this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and you'll have the power to intervene before it's too late. Let's dive into the 5 warning signs that everyone misses. Sign 1. Changes in sleep patterns. The first warning sign of isolation depression is a sudden shift in sleep habits that most people dismiss as just part of aging. But did you know that depression-related sleep changes look completely different from normal age-related sleep issues? Sleep researchers at the National Institute on Aging have discovered that isolation-induced depression creates distinctive patterns. Dr. Melissa Carter, lead researcher on elderly sleep health, explains, while normal aging might cause earlier waking or brief nighttime arousals, isolation depression typically causes either excessive sleeping, sometimes 10 to 12 hours a day, or severe insomnia where the person can barely sleep 3 to 4 hours. These patterns are clear warning signs that something serious is happening. Consider what happened to Herbert, a 76-year-old retired accountant living alone after his wife's passing. His son noticed that during phone calls, Herbert was either still sleeping at 11 a.m. or mentioned being awake since 3 a.m. The family assumed this was just getting older and never connected it to his increasingly isolated lifestyle. When Herbert fell and broke his hip, the hospital psychiatrist finally identified severe isolation depression that had been developing for months. The sleep disruption wasn't just making him tired, it was actively damaging his brain chemistry and physical coordination. Here's what you need to do immediately if you notice these sleep changes. First, start tracking sleep patterns, either your own or your loved ones. Use a simple notebook by the bed to record bedtimes, wake times, and any middle-of-night awakenings. Second, create opportunities for morning sunlight exposure. Even 15 minutes of natural light before 10 a.m. can help reset disrupted sleep cycles. Third, and most importantly, don't wait to get professional help. Tell your doctor specifically that you're concerned about depression, not just sleep problems. The right treatment can restore healthy sleep patterns within weeks, but only if the underlying cause is addressed. Have you noticed unusual sleep changes in yourself or someone you care about? This isn't something to ignore or dismiss as normal aging. It could be your body's first desperate warning sign that isolation depression has taken hold. Sign 2. Loss of interest in personal appearance. Have you noticed an elderly loved one suddenly stopping their lifelong grooming habits? Perhaps they've always been meticulous about their appearance, but now they're wearing the same clothes for days, skipping showers, or no longer fixing their hair. This subtle change is one of the most overlooked signs of dangerous isolation depression. Geriatric psychiatrists from Johns Hopkins University have identified this symptom as particularly alarming. Dr. James Wilson, who specializes in late-life depression, warns, when seniors who previously took pride in their appearance suddenly stop caring, it's not laziness, it's a clinical symptom of severe depression. The brain's reward system has essentially shut down, making previously important routines seem pointless. This change often precedes more serious deterioration. Take Dorothy, a 78-year-old former teacher who had always been known for her coordinated outfits and perfectly styled hair. After her best friend moved to a nursing home, Dorothy's daughter noticed something odd during their weekly video calls. Her mother's hair wasn't combed, her makeup was missing, and she wore the same sweater 3 weeks in a row. When gently questioned, Dorothy brushed it off. "Why bother at my age? Nobody sees me anyway." Now, what her daughter didn't realize was that this wasn't just a casual attitude shift. It was a glaring warning sign of isolation depression taking hold. Within months, Dorothy had stopped taking her medications and lost dangerous amounts of weight. Here's what you must do if you notice this warning sign. First, don't criticize or shame the person about their appearance. This only deepens feelings of worthlessness. Instead, create opportunities for them to feel seen and appreciated. Schedule regular video calls where they know they'll be seeing someone, or arrange for visitors if possible. Second, help establish simple daily routines. Even laying out fresh clothes each evening can provide structure. Third, suggest activities that require leaving the house, like a doctor's appointment followed by lunch. This creates natural motivation to maintain basic grooming. Most importantly, speak directly with their healthcare provider about your concerns, specifically mentioning depression. This warning sign is particularly dangerous because society often normalizes the idea that older people just don't care anymore about their appearance. Don't fall into this trap. A sudden change in grooming habits isn't normal aging. It's a cry for help that shouldn't be ignored. Is someone you love showing this warning sign right now? Sign 3. Declining food intake or changes in eating habits. The third warning sign of isolation depression is perhaps the deadliest yet most frequently missed. Significant changes in eating habits, especially reduced appetite or disinterest in food. Research from Harvard Medical School has established a direct link between isolation depression and dangerous nutritional changes. Dr. Sarah Johnson, specialist in geriatric nutrition, explains, when elderly individuals develop depression, their brain chemistry changes affect appetite centers directly. We often see either complete disinterest in food or unusual cravings for only comfort foods like sweets or snacks. The resulting nutritional deficiencies accelerate cognitive decline, weaken immunity, and can lead to life-threatening weight loss. Consider William, an 81-year-old widower living independently. His refrigerator was always well stocked, and he took pride in cooking proper meals for himself. After a series of health issues limited his driving, William became increasingly isolated. His son noticed during visits that his father had switched to eating only canned soup and crackers, claiming it was just easier. When his son expressed concern about the half-eaten meals, William dismissed it. "My appetite isn't what it used to be." What looked like simple preference changes was actually isolation depression, eroding his will to nourish himself. By the time William was hospitalized for malnutrition, he had lost 30 pounds and developed dangerous electrolyte imbalances. If you recognize this warning sign in yourself or a loved one, take these immediate steps. First, don't just focus on eating more, address the underlying isolation. Arrange for regular meal sharing opportunities, even if it's just once a week. Research shows that eating with others increases consumption by up to 40% in depressed elderly individuals. Second, make food more accessible and appealing. Stock easy-to-prepare, nutrient-dense options, and use bright, contrasting colored plates, which have been proven to increase food intake. Third, consider meal delivery services that provide human contact along with nutrition. The brief social interaction of food delivery can significantly improve both mood and appetite. Don't wait until dangerous weight loss becomes obvious. By then, the physical deterioration can be difficult to reverse. Is someone you care about showing changes in their eating habits that others might dismiss as just getting older? This could be the most critical warning sign to address immediately. Sign 4. Withdrawal from previously enjoyed activities. Does your loved one brush off invitations to activities they once enjoyed with a quick, "I'm just tired," or "maybe next time"? This withdrawal from meaningful engagement is a major red flag for isolation depression. Yet families often accept these excuses at face value, missing a critical opportunity for intervention. Neurologists at Stanford University have discovered that isolation affects the brain's reward centers in ways surprisingly similar to addiction withdrawal. Dr. Robert Chen explains, when seniors become isolated, their brains gradually produce less dopamine, the chemical responsible for feelings of pleasure and motivation. Activities that once brought joy no longer activate reward pathways. This isn't just sadness. It's a physical brain change that requires intervention. Let's take Shirley, a 75-year-old who had always been the heart of her community garden club. After a mild stroke limited her mobility, getting to the garden became more challenging. When friends offered rides, she began declining with vague excuses. "I'm not feeling up to it today," or "the weather's not good for my joints." Her friends assumed she needed rest and eventually stopped asking. What they didn't realize was that Shirley's isolation depression was deepening with each refusal. By the time her daughter visited from out of state, Shirley had stopped leaving her house entirely and had developed paranoid thoughts about her neighbors. Here's what you must do if you notice this warning sign. First, don't accept repeated refusals without gentle exploration. Instead of asking, "Would you like to join us?" which is easy to decline, try, "We're going to the store at 2 p.m. and would love your company," making participation the default. Second, start with brief, low-pressure activities that don't require extended social interaction. A 15-minute walk, a quick coffee, or a short drive. Third, create structure by establishing regular, predictable engagements on the calendar. Having something to look forward to is powerful medicine for the isolated brain. Remember, when someone withdraws from activities they once enjoyed, it's rarely a conscious choice. Their brain chemistry is actually changing, making it physically harder to experience pleasure and motivation. Without intervention, this withdrawal can spiral into dangerous isolation that becomes increasingly difficult to reverse. Is someone in your life showing this warning sign? Don't wait to take action. Their life could quite literally depend on it. Sign 5. Excessive focus on the past. Perhaps the most overlooked sign of isolation depression is hiding in plain sight. Constant reminiscing about the past and difficulty engaging with the present or future. While occasional nostalgia is normal, excessive past focus can signal dangerous depression that demands attention. Research from the American Psychological Association has identified this backward-looking thought pattern as a key diagnostic indicator. Dr. Amanda Roberts, specialist in geriatric mental health, warns, when seniors become fixated on the past, particularly on themes of loss or regret, it often indicates they've stopped finding meaning in their present life. This thought pattern creates a dangerous feedback loop, deepening depression and increasing suicide risk by up to 70% in isolated individuals. Consider Thomas, an 83-year-old retired engineer living alone. His granddaughter noticed during visits that every conversation inevitably turned to stories about his late wife or his career decades earlier. When she tried discussing current events or future plans, Thomas would quickly redirect to the past, often repeating the same stories. He's just being sentimental, the family assumed. What they missed was that Thomas had stopped engaging with the present entirely, a clear sign of isolation depression. They later discovered he hadn't opened his mail in months and had stopped taking his medications, seeing no point in maintaining his health. If you notice this warning sign, take these specific steps immediately. First, acknowledge and validate memories when shared, but gently guide conversations toward the present with questions about current feelings, activities, or observations. Second, create meaningful connections to the future by planning something to look forward to, a visit from family, a special meal, or even watching a new TV series together. Third, introduce manageable, present-focused activities that provide immediate satisfaction, like caring for a plant, feeding birds, or simple craft projects with visible results. This warning sign is particularly dangerous because it's so easily dismissed as harmless reminiscing or typical elderly behavior. Don't be fooled. When someone can no longer engage with the present or future, they've lost their anchor to life itself. Their excessive focus on the past isn't just conversation. It's a critical warning that isolation depression has taken hold. The 5 warning signs we've discussed, sleep disruption, neglected appearance, changing eating habits, activity withdrawal, and excessive past focus, are the body and mind's desperate attempts to signal that something is dangerously wrong. Unlike physical illnesses with obvious symptoms, isolation depression hides behind behaviors easily dismissed as normal aging. This silent killer claims countless lives every year while remaining virtually invisible to the medical system. But now you know what to look for. You have the knowledge to detect these warning signs early and the strategies to intervene before it's too late. Isolation depression is treatable, but only if it's recognized in time. Your awareness could literally save a life, perhaps your own, or someone you love deeply. If you've recognized any of these warning signs in yourself or someone close to you, don't wait for things to get worse. Reach out today to family, friends, a doctor, or a mental health professional. Connection is the antidote to isolation, and early intervention can reverse even severe depression with the right support. Remember, isolation depression isn't a normal part of aging. It's a treatable condition that no one should have to suffer through alone. Hit the like button if this information helped you understand these critical warning signs better, and leave a comment below telling me which sign surprised you the most. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming video on the 3 most effective ways to combat isolation in seniors. Share this video with someone who might benefit from this potentially life-saving information. You never know who might desperately need to hear this message today.